Greetings, Saberites. Anonymous here. So, one thing that I think comes up a lot, especially with what we are doing here, with the learners in exile and the apprentices and all of that. Now, what exactly can you take away from our videos? What do we expect that can be learned? Now, if you were to join the apprentices and you follow our program to its entirety and to its fullest and all of that, it is absolutely possible to learn the martial arts to a certain extent. A good example of this is our recent visit from Michael, or Saber, our apprentice. Now, he has had no prior martial arts experience, no experience doing anything of this sort, and was a complete novice when he started. We'll show some video of his first Shicho form, his first video submission, as it were, way before our system of submitting videos came to fruition. But informally, there it is. You can see kind of where he was. Now, this is taken from just his past visit. We did it two ways: slow style, which is how it's going to start here, and then we're going to move into combat speed, which is just moving at the speed that you do in Freeplay. Now, this is where we get into the division. That is about as far as you can learn, right? And even the combat speed form, which you're seeing demonstrated here, really can't be undertaken by a complete novice who has absolutely no experience in any type of fighting, martial art, or sword art, because you're needing to take information that you can only get from one source, and that's sparring an uncooperative opponent. That's the only way that you're going to learn how to deal with that opponent. The only way you can learn how to fight is to fight. And however, the training that we do, the forms, the drills, the formulas, all of these types of things, they all do. They all go toward the end goal of Freeplay, of actually using them in the way that you want. Again, like I said, the only way that you can do that is going up against somebody, and that even is not quite enough, because the chaos of that type of encounter is so much that you will very, very quickly fall into particular habits. And if you do not have a teacher who will force you out of those habits, or you're not sparring with somebody who is experienced, who can walk you through that, who can test your this, that, and the other. If it's just two friends that are kind of going at it willy-nilly, and you don't have any structure, you're going to get into basically a glorified game of tag, of just trying to get single hits and this, with no thought of techniques or parries or plays or conversations going back and forth between two opponents. And this is what, the reality of fighting goes. Now, in a sport, sure, you can get away with that. There are lots of sports and stuff like that where it turns into that type of a game, and that's fine. And that can, right? The tag and retreat game is fun, and it's there, and it's definitely an integral part of all of this stuff. However, again, if you don't have somebody who is very, very experienced, you're going to very quickly fall into a set of habits, and these habits will very unlikely be beneficial to you. You may luck upon a couple of them, but there you go. And that has to do with the fact that you don't have the freedom that people think they do when it's free play. It's very, free play is very misnamed because you don't have a whole lot of freedom. You can only do specific things depending on what your opponent is doing, where their position is, you know, how they're dealing with the fight, and all of that. That's you're limited into you know, very, very narrow range of techniques, and if you only know a few smattering, that will get you so far, and that will get you so far. And you can turn sports like MMA, or boxing, take a handful of techniques, and they're able to use those techniques and strategize and find, you know, find the fight in that kind of limited sense. So it's not necessarily the number of techniques that you have, definitely, because you're not really going to be able to use a whole lot when you get into the thick of things. So what you can take away and what you can learn from videos and YouTube and watching all of this stuff is things to practice on your own, solo training, right? But you still need feedback. That's why we have our forum, which we will link down in the description, and of course at the end you can follow the link right here, show it in all kinds of ways, and kind of join the process. Like I said, right now we only have kind of one choice: you become an apprentice. That's really getting into the full system, which is very expansive. It takes a while. It is sometimes confusing for somebody. We are in the process of simplifying a couple of little adjuncts that we can kind of go into, but this is where it's going to go, because when we get into things that are going to be applied to fighting and to sport stuff like in Ludo Sport or TSL or anything like that, there's going to always be a disclaimer with that, in that we recommend that you get experienced coaching, experienced all of that before getting into the sparring. So, where does a beginner, somebody who doesn't know anything, just wants to get into lightsaber combat at home in their own time, start, and how do they use this stuff, and what can you expect to actually get from it? If you're just working at home completely by yourself and you're not having any feedback, your results are going to be very, very variable. It's all going to depend on your ability to see, mimic, check yourself, and how much body awareness you kind of naturally have, and all of that. So we do not recommend that. We do recommend getting some sort of martial arts training in you know, if you can. If you can't, because a lot of people are following our videos because they can't, follow the formula videos. Those formula videos are going to give you all of your building blocks. The building blocks that are going to just make every other level of each of those forms meaningful, and it's going to give the content. So as long as you know the formula to everything, you're gonna be able to piece everything together. Now, these videos of the formula, we're gonna keep updating them and everything like that. But right now, we've got them all in playlists, or all in playlists, I should say. We'll again link that in the description. We'll have them linked at the end of the video here, and put a tag up there. So please follow. If you go to our channel, you've got how to get started in sabering. The formula contains your spins, your footwork, your basic strikes, your basic parries, your basic power generation, and your basic control and maneuverability. Also, if you're just starting out, focus on fitness. Take those formula things and start using them to work out. Get a level of fitness, because really when you get to that point of where you're actually going to be fighting somebody and you're actually going to be in the sparring situation, it is very, very energy intensive, and you got to be in pretty good shape to really handle it very well. So all of that is there. So conditioning is number one, especially when you're starting out, because you don't want to do that. We'll be putting out some conditioning videos to help people along with that whole fitness piece, because that can get a little complicated. We don't want anybody injuring themselves, so just keep it simple. If you follow the directions in the formula, especially in the Shicho formula, alignment of the knee, the hip, all of that kind of thing, and you take all that stuff very, very seriously, you'll be okay, right? Again, we would like you to be getting some feedback. So that's the next step. You can interact with us on Facebook. You can, or in our forum. Our forum is our preferable place, even though we're a little bit disorganized on it right now. We're going to be moving that. Hopefully we'll get more activity there, which will help us organize some of the streams of content there. But we've got lots of places where you can interact with us and you can get feedback. You can also get feedback locally from people you know, if you know people who've done sword fighting, this, that, and the other, and have them check your form and all of that. Again, any face-to-face contact is going to be really, really good. But if you're stuck with this, keep it simple. Those formula videos are really the key to everything. And those are meant to really help you and be the guide to everything else. You can take the Dulons and you can take all of those basics that you did in the formula and you can apply it in those Dulons. Right? Even the Makashi one. The Makashi Dulon is a very difficult one for people to wrap their heads around because it's very abstracted and all of that. So these kind of get difficulty. Now, what level of improvement can you expect? Well, you can expect movement improvement, the way you move, the way you feel, your fitness level, your energy level, all of these things which are indicative of putting more activity into your daily life. That's going to be a bar none. Technique-wise, if you follow these things very carefully, you check yourself, you try to get the feedback when you can, you do all of these things and you're very, very cognizant, you can develop a very good sense of the movement patterns, the physical demands, and ways of moving that you're going to encounter when and if you get into even a choreographed fight group like Saber Guild or some other groups like that, where it's not real fighting, but you are bringing a kind of fight sensibility to a choreographed scenario. And it should look like fighting, which means physically it should sort of feel like fighting. So conditioning, again, is something that you're going to get out of it, regardless. But good technique, because you want to avoid overuse injuries, especially of the wrist and of the shoulder and the knee. All of these joints that get used a whole lot in swordplay and weapon art. So keeping those techniques there, being able to understand what's going on when you look at a choreography or you're trying to learn something. You may go, oh, I know that piece from the Shicho formula. And that should be something that comes up a whole lot. It's like, oh, I know that, I recognize that, I recognize that. Because we're taking all of those things from those arts. So there you go. All right, so a rather big topic. We'll probably come back to it at some point. If you have any questions, please ask them there. Please follow us on Facebook. You can join our Learners in Exile there. You can also join us on the forum so that we can start a dialogue. We do encourage that. We're not saying we have all of the answers or that we're always right or anything like that, but we're just trying to get a good community. We've got I think a good panel of people who've got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience from the martial arts and combative type of things. And we like to share our knowledge. We like to share our experiences. And we'd like to share them with you. So please come join us on the forum. Join us on Facebook. Write your comment down here in the YouTube. I have to admit that the YouTube comments are hard to really keep up with a lot of times, but we'll it's not the greatest forum for the discussion of particular things. But please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff, all that good YouTube stuff. Anyway, I will leave you there. And until next time, have a great day and happy savoring.